Hey there, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the Alto Power Packs for Ford C6 transmissions, and in particular the power pack for the direct clutch. Now Alto makes power packs for both the forward and direct clutches, so if you wanted to, you can put their products in both clutch drums. For anything from stock up to what I would refer to as moderate performance, I would definitely recommend you run something like this for the direct drum. And then anything beyond that, so like real high performance, I would either run a 5 clutch forward drum or an Alto Power Pack, as well as the pack for the direct clutch. Now, Ford has 3, 4, and I believe 5 clutch direct drums as well. And so most of the C6 is installed, and pretty much I'm going to just throw out a guesstimate number here, ballpark, 70% of the vehicles that took these transmissions have a 3 clutch direct drum. So the power pack will enable you to add anywhere from 5 to 6 clutches and steels along with their backing plate into such a drum. Now if you have a 4 clutch direct drum, according to their instructions, you should be able to squeeze 8 clutches in there. Now the clearance in this drum from the factory is set to between 22 and 36 thousandths. Alto recommends between 20 and 25 thousandths for their 5 or 6 clutch stack-ups. So in other words, if you have a drum that originally took 3 frictions and 3 steels, you would have between 20 and 25 thousandths. So let's go ahead and open it up. I mean, I haven't even opened the packaging yet, so you can kind of see what it looks like. Keep your factory snap ring handy for the clutch because you may need it. There is a snap ring in here as well, and I believe it's 90 thousandths thick. So there's 2 different variations of these power packs. There's the one you see in front of you where you have your standard, I guess, I don't know if this is stock grade, but it's perhaps somewhere in between stock and high energy. Don't get me wrong, they're perfectly fine for anything up to moderate performance, and they give you a total of 8 frictions in here. Okay, then there's the Red Eagle version, which will have the Alto Reds, and that's what you would run if you were doing something, real high performance or serious heavy duty towing off road or something like that. Then they give you all your steels as well as your backing plate. So you have a snap ring, and then you have 60 thousandths of an inch thick steels. There should be 8 of them here. Then you have your backing plate, that's this right here, and then you have an additional 90 thousandths thick steel plate to serve as your bottom plate in the event you're not making clearance. Alright, so I also have 2 factory steels of 80 thousandths thickness. Alright, let's see how much cosmoline is on these things, and let's see if I could separate them all. So you're going to want to wipe all these off. I use brake cleaner and just, clean off all the packing grease. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And these last 2 are really stuck together. Alright, now you have your backing plate. Okay, this is going to be 120 thousandths of an inch thick. I'm going to get my calipers and we'll show you. Or maybe it's 125. So 125 thousandths. And then you have a 90 thousandths thick bottom steel. And the rest of your plates are all going to be 60 thousandths. All the friction discs are the same in terms of their thickness, and they're going to be 62 or 63 thousandths. All right, give me a minute or so to clean these off, and then we'll come back and we'll stack it up and see where we're at. Okay, you may have noticed that there's no instructions in this particular package. Normally you'll have some instructions included, so they are online, and I just printed out a copy here. So the instructions we're going to be following specifically for this one are going to be right here for the 3-plate drum. So 5 frictions and 5 steel plates in the conventional manner, and then they're telling you to install the top pressure plate and the snap ring that they give you, and then take a measurement. So they also mentioned the 90 thou thick plate. So what they do is they say substitute this 90 thou thick plate in I would recommend you put it in the bottom location in place of a 59 thou thick flat steel, and you should be able to get your clearance. Now, in my experience, sometimes it takes more work than just that. So we'll see how this goes. So here's our 125 thou thick plate, and here's our 90 thou thick plate in the event we need it. All right, so we're gonna start with a bottom steel plate like you would in any other, C6, E4OD 400 drum. No cushion plate or wave plate of any kind. And then you're just gonna include 5 frictions, 5 steels. Alright, now we have our extras, we'll put them aside. And so, if I see a pretty big gap between the snap ring groove and the bottom steel, and the top clutch plate, then I may see if I could squeeze in an additional clutch and steel, but that's usually not the case. All right. So the snap ring furnished in the kit is 90 thousandths. Actually, it's 93 thousandths, 92, 93 thousandths. I'm just used to round numbers, so. All right, and then we're gonna put our pressure plate. It's actually this one. And we're gonna have way too much clearance, I could already tell. So, when you see this much gap between your top of the pressure plate, where it's below the bottom portion of the snap ring groove, then you're probably looking at between 40 and 50 thousandths clearance in this pack as it's sitting right now. All right, so we're gonna swap out this bottom steel for the thicker one, and then we're gonna restack. So 20 to 25 thousandths, pretty tight. If you're slightly over that, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the factory spec calls for up to 36 in here, so I wouldn't worry too much. All right, and then our 90 thousandths thick snap ring. All right, I still think we have more than the 25 thou limit. We may have more than 36 thou. In the event you're in that situation, you do have your 2 factory spec 80 thou or so thick steels that can be swapped in lieu of a couple of the real thin 59 thou or 60 thou thick steel plates. All right, let me fire up the compressor. We have the pump already assembled, so we'll go ahead and set up a dial indicator. We'll air check this, and then we'll take a measurement officially to see where we're at and what we have to do to adjust from there, if anything. All right, indicator set up and zeroed, so now we'll go ahead and we'll apply some air and see what kind of clearance we have. Not quite returning to zero. Don't be afraid to press down on the clutch pack if you think it's not fully bottomed out. So it looks like it's coming in at 65 thousandths. So we either have to shrink 40 to 45 thousandths or shave 40 to 45 thousandths off of this figure, or we have to somehow free up an additional 140 thousandths less the 65 thou clearance we saw to install a 6th friction and 59 thousandths thick steel plate. Okay, so we can go in either direction. So 65 thou clearance is obviously way too much. So we have, if we wanted to just keep with the 5 clutch stack, the addition of 2 factory steels in place of 2 Alto steels should bring us into where we need to be. Alternatively, we can see if we can go for broke and add a 6th friction. So 140 thou minus 65 would give us 75 thousandths additional clearance we would need to free up. We can free up an additional 15 by using the 75 thousandths thick additional snap ring, and then an additional 30 thousandths can be freed up by swapping swapping out that thick 90 thousandths bottom plate. Just running numbers real quick in my head hastily, I don't think we're going to get there, so let me try and install 2 factory spec steel plates. And they are, broadly speaking, they're 80 thousandths thick, 76 thou to be exact. Alright, what I want to do before that is I want to mark this location here, and I want to flip this 180 degrees or rotate it 180 degrees and measure it again. And we'll see what we come up with. Doesn't want to return to 0. Like 62 or 63. Okay, so if you want to average the 2 figures, you're going to be at 63.5 thousandths for clearance. So either way, there's enough freedom in there such that that difference isn't material. Alright, so I'm going to keep the thick bottom steel in there, and then we'll go ahead and we'll install a factory steel. I'm going to swap out one of the Alto steels. So that should give us an additional 20 thou clutch. Swap out another Alto steel and put our second factory steel, and then to stack up the rest of it as it was. And we'll install the 90 thou thick snap ring. And we have the 75 thousandths thick snap ring as well in the event we're too tight. So if we're like 10 thousandths, let's just say, we could free up an additional 15 thousandths by swapping the snap rings. So that looks like it's about maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe. Alright, we'll measure where we were before, and then we'll flip it 180 and measure it again. Alright, let's give it a go, see where we are at. Okay, we are right at the edge of 25 thou. And I'm moving the indicator because I'm putting pressure on the pump. So right where we need to be. So let's go 180 out. Okay, we're at 0. Not quite returning to 0. Okay, right in the middle. So I'm happy with this. 5 clutches is a lot better than 3. And like I said, just have your couple of steels on the bench, you know, factory dimension, so that you can swap those in. And like, of all the ones I've done where I've started using this pack, I've only started using the Alto stuff recently, but of all the ones I've done so far, this is the recipe to give you that 5 friction, 5 steel stack up within the clearance specified by Alto. Alright, you're going to go through largely the same exercise and process with a 4 or a 5 clutch drum. You know, again, have different snap rings handy, have your factory steel plates handy because you may need them. I mean, that's really the main takeaway here. You'll more than likely not use the thick 90 thou bottom steel if you have an 8 clutch stack up. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate all your support. If there's something you want me to cover that is C6 specific, go ahead, leave it in the comments, and I will prioritize it as soon as I can. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.